Blessings, everyone. Today, the Ascended Masters have been drawing very close. And so I would like to share an oracle reading from the Divine Masters. There's an incredible energy today, very profound. There's been a lot of know thyself. This message has been coming through for quite some time. And today, I was just outside a few moments ago looking for something in my car, and the rain was coming down. And Spirit was just very powerful, and they were talking about integrity. And I just shared on social media my singing bowl. They wanted me to clear the throat chakra because there's so much blocked. And so this oracle reading today is the Divine Master that's working with us to help us with this, because the throat chakra doesn't just have to do with speech and how we present our language, what we're saying, but it's also part of our identity. It's know thyself. From right speech comes right action, and it also has to be aligned with the heart space, because everything that's true is from the heart. A lot of times we get in our monkey minds and we try to analyze and tell ourselves things that we would like to accomplish or things that we'd like to achieve in our lifetime. And sometimes Spirit is saying some of us say things out loud, or we speak things, speak words, speak intentions, almost trying to convince ourselves that we're going to do this or that it's so, but we don't fully trust and believe it. And so I'm being encouraged today to share. It's certainly a lesson I learned today, is before I say things, before it comes from my mouth, sacred sound, we should honor that with reverence. The fact that we can communicate here is such a blessing, and we take it for granted because things just come out of us all day long and we might not think about it. But when we become very mindful of what we say, the saying, they're bringing through the saying that whatever we say should be more beautiful than silence. If it's not more beautiful than silence, then it doesn't need to be said. And so with that, I'm sharing this message to encourage all of us to, before we speak, before we share intentions, before we have our interactions for the day, we always ask, is it kind? Is it necessary? Does it improve the silence? And this is just a little reminder to step into that space, because when we look at ourselves at one point, when we're no longer here, these are the things that we're going to be reflecting on. These are the things that come into our life review. Did everything align for us? Did we walk our talk when we spoke to others? Did we have an intention of self, or did we have an intention of speaking in a way to understand rather than to be right or just have a point made? It's so imperative. And so with that, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light. And I ask all the masters to please step forward to help bring a message for the highest good. Thank you. I'm grateful. I always shuffle 3. The first one always aligns Source. The second one aligns the energy of Spirit or higher self. And the third moves the energy of the soul. This is the interpretation. This is the story. This is the personality. This is the energy that we embody in Earth School. And so this Divine Master has been helping, guiding all of us that are receiving these messages. Okay. I'm just going to take one from here. 2 fell, and they're saying to take this one. So this is Hathor, light activation, acceleration, brilliance, stand in your light. And the first thing that they're showing me is this beautiful white, brilliant light above the head. And the horns that are on top of the head, they're saying the symbolism of this is that that we get in our head. We put these horns on top of our head. We're ready to charge through everything. We're ready to pierce everything. We're ready to cut through everything so we can have these achievements or have these accomplishments in life. And it's very difficult when we put the horns on, barreling through everything, not being conscious of our speech, to receive the light codes and the downloads and the connection to source, because we're putting this crown on our head. We're wearing the metaphorical crown of thorns, and all this light has to filter through all of this. And so Spirit is encouraging that as we're taking in, we're listening, we're being still, we're removing these ideals that we have, that we've placed upon ourselves in our minds, that these things have to go forward in a way that we're cutting through the density, or we're literally making a point. That sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about the movement. Sometimes it's about letting this beautiful light in, right in through our consciousness, and sitting with that, letting that bring the clarity. That there's a lot of wanting to control everything, wanting to be in charge of everything, that when we think of us as part of the universe, that we are the universe, we're sometimes approaching that from an ego standpoint of view. And we're being encouraged, that Hathor is encouraging us today to learn to surrender a little bit, that the greater good and the bigger concept, the vastness, could seem much more clear than we can sometimes. And we have these intentions, and we have these desires, and these things that we want to achieve. And sometimes they know our heart, they understand where it's coming from, but we have to get out of our own way. We have to not want to control how that comes. We can't think lesser of ourselves if we put something into action with these horns on, and we're just barreling through it, and it doesn't come to pass the way we expect. We have to release that. And that doesn't make us weak, and it doesn't make us unclear, and it doesn't make us any less, because we're able to get into a space where we have an intention, we set it to the universe, but we allow the universe to bring it to us in the best way. That takes a lot of know thyself. That takes a lot of self-mastery to do that. That takes mastery of the monkey mind. And also they're bringing my attention to around the throat area, because I was speaking of the throat chakra before, and how right speech comes from the heart. And they're bringing Hathor has this beautiful necklace made of green. And they're saying that this is the way. This is the way forward. When we align that with our heart space. The mind is the tool. The soul is the compass that navigates. But the heart is the source of all of that. The heart space is the interpretation of the solar plexus, the central self, the great central sun. It's expressing this. It's helping us navigate our being. And the message they gave me before about we cast spells with our words. We say things sometimes to convince ourselves. We say it out loud, and we may say it 1,000,000 times a day. And it's irrelevant in a sense. The universe is just saying that's expelled and wasted energy, because they already know what we're here to do. We're the ones that are trying to figure that out. We're the ones that are navigating our purpose, and sometimes indecisive, and we have to constantly remind ourselves, validate ourselves, and tell ourselves things over and over and over again, because we think that that's what's going to bring it into actuality. But they're saying thoughts are things, that it doesn't have to come out of our mouth, that it doesn't have to come into everybody's awareness when we want to communicate, that sometimes just a thought And that's why they're saying being mindful. Because even the negative self-talk that we say that others don't hear from us, those moments in our quietness when we're having our own self-interactions, we're speaking, we're navigating inside our heads. Sometimes we're in a loop. What we say out loud over and over again, we're also saying in words. And it's distorting all this beautiful light that's coming in, all the clarity, because we're not leaving any room for any other energies to move through. We're getting stuck. And so with this message today from Hathor, she's encouraging us to know thyself, speak from the heart, take the horns off. We don't have to charge through this life with this set of intentions. We don't have to charge through this life with a specific construct of how things need to play out. Release these things, because the guidance comes from this light, the higher self, the universe, but not as us being a part of the universe, but how we flow through the universe. Yes, we're all fractals. We're all fractals of the same source. And all of us here spinning around, trying to make our way through this dense earth school. It's creating so much energy and so much miscommunication and misunderstanding that we have to clear this away. And the best place to start is before we speak, before we set intentions, and before we move forward with our goals and our aspirations in this life. Know thyself and understand, heal, be silent, listen. There's so much more that we can understand in the quiet than when we're always filling our heads with noise, whether it's the noise we have in our own head from our negative self-talk, or whether it's certain ideals and constraints that society puts on us of certain ways it should or should not be, programming that we've succumbed to since we were young children just to try to fit in. All of this, even sometimes filling our days with the TV on in the background is noise, and the music on in the background is noise. It's always something. Language, expression, movement of energy, and sometimes stillness is the most direct connection we'll ever know. And so she's pulling her energy back. She just wants us to trust. She wants us to understand that this light, as in the picture on the oracle card, is always there. It never goes away. It's always just waiting for us to expand in that space so we can connect and hear it. And when we allow that, it will filter away all the negative self-talk. It will filter away the looping. It will filter away not being mindful, and we won't have to speak constantly into action all these things. We don't have to write intention lists all the time and create these aspiration boards. The universe understands. We just have to trust that. That's what is meant for us will always come into our awareness. It's there. It's just waiting for us to recognize that. And love and gratitude is the key. Thank you for allowing me to share this message with you. I hope this finds you well and everybody is having a beautiful holiday if you celebrate. Much love, everyone. Beautiful blessings.